Imagine this. You're suddenly caught in a full-out sprint. Maybe a lion is hot on your heels. Your body instantly kicks into this incredible high-octane mode, muscles burning, heart pounding, every fiber screaming for energy. But where does that sudden explosive fuel come from when there's zero time to grab? Like a snack. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a brilliant chapter from Robert M. Sapolsky's Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, aptly titled Stress, Metabolism, and Liquidating Your Assets. Our mission today is to explore the ingenious ways your body stores and then dramatically mobilizes energy. Think of it as your body's internal financial system. Kind of. And we'll uncover why this remarkably efficient ancient system designed for acute life-or-death survival can actually start making us sick when stress becomes a chronic, everyday thing in our modern lives. It's a shortcut to understanding some pretty complex biology in a genuinely relatable way, giving you powerful insights into your own health.
Indeed, it's a fascinating look at our internal bank account of energy, and how intricately it's managed. We'll meticulously break down how your body accesses its fuel supply in a crisis versus how it ideally operates day to day. Understanding the critical distinction is absolutely crucial for appreciating the profound impact of stress on your overall health and well-being.
Okay, let's unpack this by starting with the good times. Imagine Thanksgiving dinner. You've eaten with what the chapter colorfully describes as porcine abandon, essentially, a huge feast. Your bloodstream is now teeming with nutrients. Amino acids, fatty acids, glucose, way more than you need just to, say, migrate to the couch for a post-meal nap. So what on earth does your body actually do with all that excess energy? Where does it all go?
Well, as we know, our bodies are incredibly clever at processing food. After a meal, enzymes in your gut break down those complex macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, into their most fundamental building blocks. So, amino acids, glucose, that's a simple sugar, and free fatty acids and glycerol. These are then absorbed into your bloodstream, circulating as the immediate fuel supply.
Right, but like you wouldn't walk around with all your life savings just stuffed in your pocket, right? Your body doesn't keep all that energy in immediate circulation. That would be completely inefficient, overwhelming even. So it wisely puts it in the bank, as the chapter says.
Exactly. Just like surplus cash might go into, I don't know, mutual funds or bonds, your body stores this surplus energy in more complex, compact forms for later use. So, for example, enzymes in your fat cells combine those circulating free fatty acids and glycerol to create larger, more stable molecules called triglycerides. You accumulate enough of these, and, well, you grow plump, as Sapolsky puts it. Meanwhile, cells throughout your body link thousands of glucose molecules together into long-chain glycogen that's mainly stored in your muscles and your liver. It acts as a quick-access carbohydrate reserve. And similarly, amino acids are combined to form new essential proteins within cells all over the body for growth, repair, function, all that stuff.
What's truly fascinating here, it seems, is the absolute linchpin of this entire storage process. A hormone called insulin.
Insulin, yeah. It's a powerful hormone secreted by your pancreas, and it genuinely acts like the most efficient financial planner for your metabolism. Its main job is to signal cells to transport and store these building blocks away from the bloodstream. It's actively filling out those deposit slips at your fat banks, promoting glycogen synthesis in the liver and muscles, encouraging protein creation. It's so proactive, in fact, that your body even secretes a surge of insulin in anticipation of a meal, like just before your usual dinner time. It's preparing the system for the incoming nutrients.
Okay, so we've got our energy safely in the bank, ready for a rainy day, metaphorically speaking. But now imagine that lion is back. In an immediate stressful emergency, that acute fight-or-flight moment, your body's strategy flips entirely. You don't want to store energy, you need to mobilize it, and you need it now. This is where the body's incredible adaptive capacity truly shines, isn't it?
Absolutely. During such an acute stressor, your body's nervous system rapidly shifts gears. Your sympathetic nervous system ramps up, preparing you for action. Think fight or flight. And at the same time, your parasympathetic nervous system, which normally promotes digestion and storage, the rest and digest system powers way down. This immediate shift significantly reduces insulin secretion. That's step one in the emergency energy response. It basically closes the deposit window.
Okay, so insulin secretion dials down, but what if there's still some insulin floating around, maybe from that big meal earlier, still trying to push energy into storage? Does the body have a critical countermeasure, something to ensure energy stays out during an emergency?
It does, absolutely. The body has a crucial backup plan involving stress hormones called glucocorticoids. These hormones actively block insulin's ability to promote energy storage in your cells, so they interfere with insulin signal. This dual approach, reducing insulin secretion first and then actively blocking any remaining insulin's effects, ensures that energy isn't going back into the bank when you desperately need it out in circulation.
So deposits are blocked. Now you need to get into the vault, right? Dip into your energy bank account and liquidate those stored assets. What are the body's withdrawal slips for this crisis? What are the specific hormones that make that critical mobilization happen?
Right? It's a whole suite of stress hormones working together. For that immediate adrenaline surge, you have epinephrine, which you probably know as adrenaline, and norepinephrine. These are super fast acting. Then there's glucagon, another hormone from the pancreas, which basically acts like insulin's opposite. It specifically tells the liver to release glucose. And finally, you have those longer-acting stress hormones we just mentioned, the glucocorticoids, which fine-tune and sustain this whole mobilization process. Together, these hormones essentially reverse the storage process. They break down triglycerides in fat cells, releasing free fatty acids and glycerol back into circulation, fuel for muscles. They trigger the rapid breakdown of glycogen into individual glucose molecules, flushing this ready sugar into the bloodstream from the liver and muscles. And they even cause proteins in muscles that aren't being used for running away, say, in your arms if you're sprinting, to be converted back into individual amino acids. These can then be used for energy, too.
But amino acids, you said they're building blocks. They aren't the best source for that instant burst of energy your leg muscles need for that sprint, are they? So once proteins are broken down into amino acids, does the body need to do something else with them?
You're exactly right. Amino acids aren't the optimal quick fuel source. So your body takes another simplifying step. It shunts those circulating amino acids to the liver, and there, the liver converts them into glucose. It's a vital process called gluconeogenesis, literally the creation of new sugar.
The liver is incredibly versatile, actually. It can also generate new glucose from other non-carbohydrate sources if things get really dire.
Okay, so the net result then is this massive coordinated flood of available energy, mostly glucose and fatty acids, all ready for your muscles to burn, ready to propel you away from that lion. And the chapter mentions the body even has a clever way to ensure only the exercising muscles get this fuel, like it overrides the general blockade. Yes, it's quite sophisticated. It ensures the fuel goes where it's needed most urgently, to the muscles doing the work. It's an incredibly adaptive system, perfectly honed for those acute survival scenarios, escaping a predator, fighting something off.
So, fantastic system for a pinch for that acute life or death situation. But what happens when we're constantly activating it? Not for a lion, but for months, maybe years of deadlines, money worries, traffic jams, or just the relentless pace of modern life? What does this constant activation mean for our long-term health?
Well, think about that bank analogy again. If you're constantly running to the bank, depositing, immediately withdrawing, maybe paying fees, then redepositing, it's inefficient, right? You waste energy. Our bodies work similarly, and this constant cycling leads to a cascade of issues. First, there's just the sheer inefficiency and overwhelming fatigue. Each cycle of storing energy, then breaking it down, moving it around, it costs energy itself. Sapolsky says you squander a fair chunk of potential energy just in the processing. Activate this cycle too often, day after day, and a very common consequence is just profound, unrelenting exhaustion. You just feel drained. Beyond just feeling tired, we see real physical consequences. Let's talk about muscles. Muscles are packed with essential proteins. If you're stressed chronically, those stress hormones, particularly glucocorticoids, are constantly signaling for protein breakdown. But if there's no recovery time, no chance to rebuild, your body just can't keep up. This can lead to a gradual loss of muscle mass, a condition called muscle wasting or myopathy. Now, it's most severe if someone is taking high medical doses of glucocorticoids that causes something called steroid myopathy. But chronic, prolonged psychological stress can definitely contribute to this loss of strength and tissue over time. And from there, we really have to confront one of the truly severe, widespread consequences, an increased risk for developing adult-onset diabetes, what most people call type 2 diabetes. This is a huge health issue in Western societies, and chronic stress plays a significant, maybe often underappreciated role in both its development and how severe it gets.
That's a really important distinction you make there. Unlike type 1 diabetes, the juvenile kind, where the pancreas basically stops making insulin, type 2, the adult onset kind, isn't usually about too little insulin, is it? It's more about the body's cells just not listening to it anymore.
Precisely. That condition is called insulin-resistant diabetes. It often goes hand in hand with weight gain, particularly as fat cells get, well, full. When an insulin surge comes along, trying to push more fat into storage, these overstuffed cells effectively send back a message like, nope, we're full, we don't care if you're insulin. They become less responsive. They actually lose some of their specialized receptors for insulin on their surface. It's a process called receptor downregulation. It happens in response to that constant signal to store more when they're already full.
Okay, but wait, if the cells are full and just not accepting any more fuel, doesn't that sound sort of okay? Like they're just safely topped off. Are they really in trouble?
Far from it. This is where the real danger starts. Because now you have all that excess glucose and those free fatty acids just circulating unchecked in your bloodstream. They have nowhere to go. Sapolsky vividly calls them oleaginous hoodlums, oily troublemakers, basically. And these excess sugars and fats start causing serious systemic damage. They can gum up the tiny, delicate blood vessels in your kidneys, impairing their vital filtration job. They contribute to forming atherosclerotic plaques, hardening of the arteries, which leads to poor circulation, mini strokes in tissues, chronic pain, and massively increases the risk of heart attacks and major strokes. They can even cause damage in your eyes by linking proteins together, contributing to cataracts. It's really trouble on multiple fronts for almost every organ system.
Wow. Okay, so that's the grim picture of how type 2 diabetes develops when cells become resistant. But how does chronic stress specifically play into this? How does it make this already bad situation even worse?
Well, chronic stress does a couple of things here. First, through that sustained release of stress hormones we talked about, it mobilizes even more glucose and fatty acids into the bloodstream. So it's just adding fuel to the fire, increasing the number of those circulating hoodlums. And there's another, more subtle but critically important effect. The glucocorticoids, which are constantly elevated during chronic stress, repeatedly send signals urging fat cells, and other cells too, to become even less sensitive to insulin. So if you're already kind of on the edge metabolically, maybe pre-diabetic, this repeated chronic stress exposure can absolutely be the thing that pushes you over the threshold into full-blown overt type 2 diabetes. The chapter notes that sometimes when this happens specifically because someone is taking synthetic glucocorticoid medication for, say, inflammation, it's called steroid diabetes. But the underlying mechanism driven by your own body's stress hormones when stress is chronic is remarkably similar.
And this isn't just a minor health concern we're talking about, is it? It sounds like the consequences are incredibly far-reaching and serious.
Oh, absolutely not minor. Adult-onset diabetes is practically an epidemic in the U.S. and many other developed nations. Sapolsky cites figures like it affects more than 15% of people 65 and over. The disease more than doubles mortality rates overall. It nearly triples the rate of heart disease in men. Plus, it's a leading cause of blindness and kidney failure, and ranks high up there, like the 7th leading cause of death overall. It's a really stark, compelling example of that double-edged sword nature of the stress response when it goes on for too long. The body's incredible acute survival mechanism designed for that brief chase with the lion becomes a direct pathway to serious chronic illness when it's constantly switched on without a physical outlet.
Okay, so let's quickly recap this deep dive. We've seen how your body masterfully stores energy as proteins, glycogen in muscles and liver, and triglycerides in fat. This storage process is primarily driven by the hormone insulin, acting like a careful metabolic planner. But under immediate acute stress, a whole different set of hormones, epinephrine, norepinephrine, glucagon, and glucocorticoids, rapidly mobilize that stored energy. Get it out of the bank, make it ready for action, provide the fuel to survive. The profound problem arises when the stress response becomes chronic, doesn't it? It leads to metabolic inefficiency, that feeling of overwhelming fatigue, muscle wasting over time, and significantly increases your risk and the severity of type 2 diabetes.
Exactly. And this truly raises a critical question for all of us living in modern society, I think. Our bodies are wonderfully adapted for those short, sharp, physical stressors, like that sprint away from the lion. But how well are they really equipped for the relentless, often purely psychological stressors we face today? The ones that constantly demand energy mobilization, but without the physical outlet of actually running or fighting. This deep dive really reveals that maybe adapting to modern life means we need to consciously find ways to turn off that ancient alarm system more effectively, or at least give our bodies the kind of physical release it evolved to expect after the alarm sounds. It's definitely something worth pondering for your own health.
We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable, maybe even actionable insights into how stress impacts your metabolism and ultimately your long-term health. Thank you so much for joining us for this insightful discussion today.